4 years ago when I started my online journey, I had like $0 in my bank account. And the first thing that someone told me to make in order to become successful is to create a vision board of every single thing that you want to achieve and all the beliefs that you need to have to be able to achieve that. So right now, as you can see, these are the 2 documents that I made at the time when I had no money in my bank account, telling me exactly what I want to do. And then fast forward today, I made $80,000 in a single month. And today I'm going to walk you guys through exactly the things that I had to do that allowed me to go from literally having no money in my bank account to be able to have majority of the things that I have on this vision board, as you can see over here. This is not a flex. I'm not trying to use this to prove something to you. I'm trying to give you guys information that I know if you implemented it, it's going to take you to the next level. As you can see over here, I have the apartment that I'm recording this in. I have the watch that I've always really wanted. I also have the access to be able to go to anywhere that I want to go to, which was one of the places I wanted to have. Like this specific place that I'm going to right here in Thailand, I'm going there in a month, which is kind of crazy. And the house and the cars, apart from the cars, I can actually just like, well, not apart from the cars, apart from the house, which is like a crazy investment, which I'm planning to do this year. The cars, I have enough money to be able to afford them, but I just don't want to do it right now because it doesn't really make much sense. So how do I go from literally not having anything at all to be able to have all those things that I had in my vision board? So that's what I'm going to walk you through in this short video, because I see a lot of people go through this whole like, rags to riches story, and they always have this like big thing that separates them from everyone else. But mine is quite simple because I was just this normal everyday kid from the UK that had a dream and saw ads of other people winning it. And I was like, yo, I want to be like these guys as well too one day. And I didn't think it was impossible because there was a specific thing that I had to do that allowed me to get there. And if you guys can tie this into your everyday life, I promise you, achieving any sort of things that you guys want to have in life, whether it's cars, whether it's money, whether it's girls, if you're into all that type of stuff, it's going to be able to happen. So first thing that you need to really understand is something called identity. Okay, so this is like going to be like the main thing that we're going to be going over, and we're going to have identity link into motivation, which is another topic that we're going to go over, and then we're going to have something called reality. Okay, so all these things kind of interlink. There's more specific ways of going over them. There's more like practical ways, but I want to show you the more simpler ways to understand them. So in order to kind of get anything that you want, you have to, number one, become the type of person that obviously gets those things. And I know everyone says, yes, you have to become the type of person to be able to achieve it. But hear me out for a second, because there's a little bit of nuances here, because people get this wrong extremely much. I see a lot of people thinking that becoming the type of person that you want to become basically equates to, number one, already having that amount of money. They think that you already need to already have, like, I don't know, like the cars or the apartments, or like they think that you need to have, I don't know, like the relationships. They think that everything has to be in check. So they're telling me, hey, if I want to get to 100K a month, you have to become a 100K a month person. But the question is, how do you become a 100K a month person if you genuinely don't have $100,000 in your bank account or in your payment processors coming every single month? That's the question that everyone always asks me. And this is where a lot of people get confused, because what tends to happen is, because obviously you're not there yet, so you end up losing a lot of motivation that's going to obviously help you get there. So you don't actually do the things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis because you feel like you're not at the identity. So the trick is to know that you're not at the identity yet. The big thing that you need to start internalize it is the mental aspect of it. What goes on in the brain when you're in this situation? So what do I mean by this? There's a lot of people that don't take the actions and don't do the things that people at that level of what they want to achieve is at, because they feel like they don't actually have those things. So subconsciously they're limiting themselves. But that's the truth. You're not supposed to have those things. If you had those things, you would most likely not be watching this video, and you'd be doing something else with your time and your money. But if you want to get to that point, you have to make sure that your mental is already stabilized at the first point in the first place. And the way that you do that is by basically just having the beliefs, by taking the thoughts, and by slowly putting yourself in an environment where it's inevitable that whatever goal that you have is going to happen. What do I mean by this? Let me explain. So let's say your goal is, let's just say 50,000. It's a good number to be able to hit. Ever since I've launched this coaching offer, I haven't made less than that. So it's a good number. I'm familiar with it. Very easy to do. If you are not making that amount of money right now, maybe you're making 3K, 4K, 5K, 10K, whatever with your business, or if you're planning to start one, you probably see this as a really daunting number. So the thought exercise I'm going to ask you right now, you can take a pen and paper and just actually do this. How hard do you think it is to get to this level? Do you think it's easy? Do you think it's hard? What do you think is required to get here? What type of person do you have to become to get to that level? Do you have to be someone that's disciplined, doing all these types of things? Write all of those things that you have about the type of person that you want to become to be able to make that amount of money. It might take you a couple of seconds. I'll let you do that. You can pause the video and come back to it. Once you've done this, whatever that paper has in there that you need to do, I want you to cut it and put it in the bin. Because I want you to internalize that once you sit down and you basically put a document of like all the type of the things and you make it seem like you're not at that level yet, you've already subconsciously told yourself that you don't deserve it. So I want you to release any sort of emotions that you might have or any sort of like pedestal that you put on top of hitting this amount of number, because it's really not that hard. So by removing the pedestals, you make it seem mentally that getting to this level is not as difficult as you might actually think. Because if you have, let's say, a lot of weight of like, hey, I want to become this type of person, and it's like, hey, this type of person has to be doing this, that is your belief. Because I can guarantee you for a fact, there is someone making that amount of money that you want to make every single month that doesn't do anywhere near the amount of work that you probably put on that document. So you need to change your beliefs around those things. You need to, number one, become very situated with this identity of like, hey, I want to get to this point. I want to be mentally making X amount. And then once you start putting yourself in that mindset and you only start thinking about that goal and you start slowly walking backwards and start thinking about the actions, naturally, the things that will help you get there are going to unfold. Because the step of getting to this point, the first step is literally just knowing, number one, is possible, and then just taking the mental actions that you need to do every single day to get there. It's not rocket science. A lot of you guys sit down and overcomplicate. You make this entire sheet and not realizing what you're doing is you're making yourself seem like getting to this point is so much harder. And you don't actually make it easy for yourself, and you just keep creating these like weird like beliefs around like getting to this point. Like, for example, I was speaking to someone, I was like, okay, cool. How much work do you think you need to do? He was like, yeah, bro, like I have to be posting a video every single day. I have to be making reels every single day. I have to be talking to 100 people every single day. And I was like, bro, you don't really have to do all of that. And he's like, nah, bro, like this, so I know you have to do this. Like I've seen other people do this. I was like, bro, you don't really have to do all that work. But he made it harder for himself. And then because of that, he kept beating himself up because he knew subconsciously that he wasn't doing those actions to help him get to that point. And then as a result, he was consciously sabotaging himself, subconsciously sabotaging himself by doing things that wouldn't actually get him there. Because let's say, for example, he misses a day of making a video, making a post. He's like, I knew I didn't deserve 150K a month. So you've basically told yourself, you've made a list that is really and truly based on the limitations that you have of what you think is possible to be able to get there. And then you've made that your gospel. And now you're following that gospel that isn't really actually what's going to allow you to get to this point, because it's based on the limitations that you have around whatever goal that you want to achieve. So that's the first thing that really broke my head around getting to that point, because I had this vision board and I saw a lot of people, they're kind of mixed on vision boards because they think it's a pedestal. I don't think it's a pedestal unless you make it a pedestal. Because if you look at that thing and you see, hey, I don't have these things, or you look at it from a perspective of these things are going to come eventually, I'm aligning myself with the things that are going to allow me to get there, eventually you get to the place that you want to be. But if you're in a situation where you're looking at these things and you're like, this is hard, I haven't done this today, so I'm not going to be able to deserve this, you're creating these basically just like limitations that didn't actually exist. You're just putting them subconsciously in your head, and it makes getting to your goal super, super hard. So all you have to do to map yourself to your identity is, number one, you make sure that your beliefs match those things. So that I was looking at this document over here, as you can see, and I just had these beliefs. I'll probably read them out to you. So I'll tell you, the first belief that I had was like, everything you're experiencing right now is a result of your previous actions compounded. Rich people use the impact for good and change. Family comes first. Reality of you making the money that you want to make already exists. You just have to align yourself with it. My work and craft is the most fulfilling thing that I do, and I enjoy every single day. I look for what's true, and then I build upon that. Scaling and making more money is just a matter of inputs and outputs, and it's relatively easy. Team and company culture is more important than anything, blah, 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 blah. So these beliefs are mine, And these are the limiting beliefs that I've chosen to inherit, because at the end of the day, everyone has limited beliefs. It just all comes down to the beliefs that you want to pick that serve you. So because these beliefs inherently serve me, and I truly believe that I had these beliefs, even when I was making no money, it made me realize, okay, cool. If I wanted to get to 50K a month, these are the beliefs that I need to have. So I made the rules. So I didn't have to succumb to any sort of limitations that anyone else was going to give to me. And as a result, getting to my goal was a lot easier than I thought, because I just realized, okay, cool. These beliefs that I already have right now, I'm doing them. And then what happened is, when you have those beliefs, you start thinking about thoughts. And then these thoughts are basically going to align you with the actions that you need to be taking every single day to be able to get to where you want to be. So for example, let's say I am thinking about getting a watch, for example. Let's say that I know what the amount is. Let's say 14,000. That's how much this one cost. I sit down and I'm thinking about every single possibility that I can do from a perspective of what's the easiest way to get there, of how I can make this amount of money to be able to afford this watch. And that's all I'm doing. And then naturally, because I'm in that zone of thinking, the actions become natural. Think about it. When have you guys done things because you felt like this is exactly what you need to do to get to where you want to be? When have you guys watched videos that you knew were going to give you specific paradigm shifts, and then you watch the video and you're like, wow, my God, the paradigm shift I was looking for, I didn't know this was true. And then it changes everything for you. These are things that we subconsciously do because we're aligning ourselves with the version of us that's making this amount of money, because subconsciously we already believe that we are there. Because how many times have you seen people say, hey, before I made a lot of money, I knew I was going to get there? They're not lying to you. They're not full of shit. It's true. You have to believe that you're there. When I look at that document, when I look at that vision board, I believe that I was there, even though I didn't actually have the thing that I was talking about. So naturally, when you believe you're there, subconsciously, you're going to start looking for things to prove that. And this is the same for the good and the bad things, by the way. So anytime you have the bad things that happen, subconsciously, you're trying to prove something that already exists. So let's say, for example, you know that you're not making a lot of money. You keep pulling yourself broke. You keep saying broke, I'm broke. Your brain's going to try to look for reasons to prove to yourself that you're actually broke and you have no money. Surprise, surprise. That's why a lot of people don't have a lot of money, because they subconsciously just put it out there. But if you start telling yourself that these are the beliefs that I have in order to make the amount of money, and the person the version of me that's making that amount of money has those beliefs that I have on the table over there, and has those thoughts, naturally, you're going to start thinking about the things that need to get you there. Naturally, you're still going to be doing things that wouldn't seem normal to normal people, but you're going to be doing that because you feel like in order for you to get to where you want to be, you have to do that. By the way, just to let you know, and I don't want to give you a mindfuck over here, these are all still limiting beliefs to some extent, because at the end of the day, we're limiting ourselves to any extent. But it's beliefs that we are allowing to work with us, because at the end of the day, you can allow the beliefs that you want to have. If you want to have allow the beliefs that whatever I'm saying in this video is going to work for you, then it will work. If you want to have the belief that whatever I'm saying in this video is not going to work for you, then it would also work. So you choose. Like, that's the cool part about it. You choose exactly how you want to get here. If you decide it's going to be hard, it will be hard. If you decide it's going to be easy, it will be easy. So that's the fun part about this. And it all comes back to the beliefs. So when I made that belief document, and I tricked myself to thinking I was actually there, because the mind can't differentiate with what's going on right now. But that's a whole different topic that I'll let the gurus talk about that. But when I believed that these things were coming through, that's what allowed me to do these things. And then the environment and the actions that I was taking was just a byproduct of the beliefs and the thoughts. And that was a byproduct of me aligning myself with the frequency of the person that's already making that. And you align yourself with that frequency by believing that you're already there before you actually have the physical thing that confirms it. Okay? So why is it important to not start here? Because people always look for the physical things to actually acknowledge that they're actually there before that. Because like I said, as you can see, I didn't have any of those physical things at all. Like, I was a kid, broke, literally had like £2 in my bank account when I wanted to actually start this entire online thing, just trying to make money for my family and take care of them. There was no right for me to believe any of this stuff was possible. But the reason I believed that was because it starts from here. It doesn't start from here, because the reality is always going to, I don't want to get too woo-woo here, because I don't want this channel to seem like it's a whole, like, you know, spiritual manifestation type thing, but there is a lot of substance that you need to add into this. So to give you a little lesson on this, reality is less than 0.00003% of what you actually experience based on like the entire visible light spectrum. Okay, so you have the infrared, you have the X-ray, you have the gamma, you have the visible light, you have all the spectrums of all the light that you can see. And visible light, like, which is what we use to actually see things is very small. So when you base reality based on this small number, which is science-based, by the way, like I'm not even making this up. Like this is, if you look this up, that's the number of what we can actually perceive with our eyes. And majority of you base your future and your present based on this number. So you tell me, what's more deluded to believe in? The things that you can't see, the other 99.999 something percent, or this where is the 0.3? You tell me. So that's why I told myself, okay, even though I'm not there yet, I'm going to focus on this unseen because there's probably some substance to it. And turns out there is. And that's what you need to focus on when you get to that point. And then naturally, the things that you need to do will eventually start opening up. You're going to start taking the actions and everything is just going to seem a lot more easier to get there. So that's the first thing that I started doing. So now the second thing I really want to touch on based on this document over here is motivation. So obviously doing all these types of things is hard work. Getting rich is not easy. You can't just do it over at night. It's not something that you can just pray and it's just going to happen and you're going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account. If anyone is trying to tell you that you just have to make affirmations and you're going to make a ton of money, they are trying to scam you. So don't do that because action is still necessary. You have your spiritual, you have your mental, and then you have your action, you have your physical plane. You still have to take action. It's not something that you're just going to eventually just come up and have millions of dollars, like I said. So action and motivation to actually take the action in the first place, let's talk about that because that's something that is obviously necessary. So once your mental is there, you're going to notice that you're going to subconsciously be gravitated to do something. All my markers fell. You're going to be naturally motivated to do certain things every single day, okay? So these certain things could be, I don't know, waking up early. Let's say that. These certain things could be working at, 5 a.m. These certain things could be going gym. These certain things could be, sending messages. So these are things that will start feeling normal to you at a certain point when you have that identity. So the mistake a lot of people make is they feel like they need infinite motivation to be able to do that. But when you do that, you put a pedestal on those things because the only time you're going to need motivation to do something is if you are not actually aligned with that type of version that you need to do something. So let me give you an example. I told myself every single day, in order to achieve that vision board, that I needed, this was my crux by the way, but I told myself that I need to do outbounds, I need to post videos, I need to do all these things. Because I knew if I did these actions, the result of whatever I wanted to achieve was going to happen eventually. It's just a matter of time. And it ended up happening, which is a good thing. I was proud of that. Same thing that I'm doing right now. When I told myself that, hey, I want to be able to make, let's say 100K a month, for example, I told myself that I need to make consistent YouTube videos every single week. That's what I'm doing. No matter how I feel, I know I'm going to do those things because that's what's required. The mistake people make is obviously you're going to have days where you don't feel like doing certain things, but they mistake those days as lack of motivation. But the truth is motivation, you don't need motivation because you've been having motivation. You have motivation to do the things that you should be doing and the things that you shouldn't be doing. Like, I'll give you an example. There's certain things that we know we need to do, but because our identity is not aligned with that, we think it's hard and we think it's something that is not like part of our identity. So let me give you an example. If let's say you want to lose weight, let's say you're big, you want to lose weight, you probably have a pedestal and imagination that you need a ton of motivation to consistently go to the gym, but that's not the truth. Because someone that is already identified in themselves as someone that goes to the gym consistently is not going to need any sort of motivation to go to the gym. You see those gym bros, you see those guys every time we go to the gym, the same brothers in the same corner doing the same workouts. You see those guys there. Those guys don't need motivation. They go in the snow, in the rain. If there's a volcano, they're probably still at the gym. It doesn't even matter. If a volcano is erupting or if there's fucking an earthquake, they're probably still at the gym working because they know that it's just part of their identity. If they don't go to the gym, they feel weird. They're like, what the fuck did I do today? This is weird. Like, they get this tingle like, what the fuck have I done? And it's because that's part of their identity. It's the same thing with someone that identifies themselves as, like, let's say, quote unquote fat. they feel like going to the gym is like a drag because they're like, oh, I can't go to the gym. It's too much effort. You know, I need to stay at home. I need to eat these snacks. I need to do this. And then boom, that's the reality that they're in because they've subconsciously identified themselves as that type of person. So you have to realize that whatever thing you're doing, you've been having motivation. You're just putting it on yourself because those people don't need motivation to stay at home. But why do you feel like the gym people feel like staying at home is like a waste of time? What's the difference? They're still normal human beings at the end of the day. The only difference is just the identity and the type of person that they have and the standards that they set for themselves. So when you're asking yourself motivation to do the things that you need to do in terms of like, let's say, I don't know, doing work, doing messages, sending outbound, having conversations with people, booking in calls, having conversations, all these types of things that you think is going to be difficult is only difficult because you feel like you need motivation to get there. But in order to get there, you just need to make sure that your identity matched with that type of person. So that's why I spoke about this first, because the motivation is going to come from the identity. It's not a thing where it's like you're just going to wake up one day and then you're going to infinitely, like, you're just going to feel like the most productive person ever. No, identity, it takes time to kind of like have that. But once you have it, it becomes part of you. And then you're consistently just going to do things and actions that get you there. Just the way that I consistently sat down and I could work for 6 to 8 hours because I just knew this is what I needed to do. And it was just part of my identity. I was like, well, I'm going to do this anyways. I'm going to do this to get the result I want. And I got the result that I wanted. Same thing that I told myself, I'm going to be consistent on YouTube and I'm going to make sure that I don't miss a day of uploading for at least a period of time where I want to do well on YouTube. And that's what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm making a video, even though I woke up extremely late today, super tired, didn't want to really do this video. I'm still doing it now because I know that in order to get to where I want to be, these are the actions I need to take. And it didn't feel like I was forced because people are telling you have to grind it out, bro. You have to wake up. You have to be like angry. You have to be angry at the world. But it's like, if you're doing that, then that means whatever you're doing is not aligned with what you want to achieve at all. Because if you feel resistance, it's because you're not actually supposed to be doing that thing. But if there's no resistance to actually doing it, well, that's a better way to describe it is if you don't feel any sort of like weird feelings when you're doing these things, it's because your identity is already matched with that type of person. But now that's not to say that you're not going to initially feel resistance, because anytime you want to change from one identity to another, you will feel some sort of resistance because the old identity is always trying to like drag you. If we could draw like a little like tug of war here, let's say this is the old you and the new you. Anytime you want to get to the new you, the old you is always going to try drag you back. It doesn't want you to stay because the old you is almost like energy that wants to just keep feeding on the way that you actually think. So if he keeps dragging you back, it doesn't want you to get to this new version of yourself, because the new version of yourself means killing the old version of yourself. And the old version obviously does not want to die, just like most people. So it's going to try hold you back as long as possible. So that's why you always feel any sort of resistance anytime you're maybe about to do something. Maybe you're about to work with someone. Maybe you're about to buy mentorship, or maybe you're about to like have a conversation with someone that's a deep thing that you haven't really wanted to talk about, like a serious conversation, or you've been trying to ask for a promotion. You feel some sort of resistance and you have that little voice in your head that's telling you don't do it because it's a lot of work. Like, you don't want to really do all this stuff. It's not really needed. It's because that old version wants to stay alive. But once that old version is gone and you have that new version, and that new version over here is obviously aligned with everything that you want to achieve, everything after that just becomes easy. So once you've got past this initial resistance and it's completely killed and it's nuked out, everything else becomes a lot easier. Getting to this goal of making the money that you want to make becomes easier. Doing the actions that align with yourself with that person that wants to make that amount of money, everything becomes easier. So when I sat down with myself and I had initial sort of resistance, I saw that as a good thing. So when you guys do have resistance, think that is a good thing to an extent. It's not a situation where it's a bad thing, you know? So that's one of the biggest things that I had to realize. And then the moment that I started doing that, all the actions that I needed to do became necessary. And if I didn't know what actions I need to do, I was aligning myself with people that will give me the right actions that I need to take. And that's a super important thing as well too. Alignment with the right types of people in the right environment, because that's like the next thing I want to kind of touch on, because a lot of people will ignore signs of people that genuinely want to help them get to that next level. Like, for example, with my business, I always help coaches and consultants get more clients. If you want to know exactly how I do that, I've been able to help hundreds of people, guys that you can see on the screen here, make shit tons of money. You can check the link down below and I can show you exactly how I've been able to do that in just like 5 minutes. But I have that business, and there's a lot of people that come to me because they felt some sort of alignment with me, in the sense of like, they had a problem, they didn't know how to solve it, and then what happened is their brain told them, go on YouTube, go on Instagram, and then they see videos from other people like guys trying to help people do similar things to what I do, and then they find my channel and they get a lot of value, and they're like, hey, you know what, this guy probably has an insight that I need to be able to get to that next level. And then they work with me. That's it. For example, with Nero, when I work with Nero, he had $97 a month products. He was pretty much teaching people I don't know, like how to manifest money and stuff like that. And he knew he could be making more money working with higher level people. So I had that business at the time, helping people obviously sign more clients with the business. And he found me from YouTube from a search. And then I asked him like, hey, like, you know, what made you search? He's like, yo, something was just telling me that I need to work with this person. Something was telling me I need to have a conversation with you. So then we had a conversation, and then he actually did it, and he paid me to work. And then we made him a shit ton of money after that. And now he's doing like multiple 6 figures months. And it was because he made that decision that I want to get there. And notice how I didn't say you have to be this person that's like super smart that knows exactly what you need to take every single day. It's okay to not know things. But the good thing is when you align yourself with this identity, you always seek out for the information. You seek out for the help, because the action, like I said at the start, which is important that you can't ignore, is required to get to wherever you want to be. So naturally, you're going to be looking for people that will actually help you get to that point. So when he found me, and I told him exactly what he needs to do, and we did those things, he made the money, and that's the reason why he's been able to get the result that he has, and that's the reason why I have testimony, and that's the reason why I have hundreds of other people, because they knew that if they had a conversation with someone to solve whatever problem they have, they will get to that point. And thus, that's the reason why I have a lot of these case studies and testimonials. So that's not to flex or tell you, haha, I'm super smarter than you. That's to tell you that it's okay to not know things, because it's the same thing with me. When I first started this online space, and I knew I was meant for more, and I knew I wanted to do something, take care of my family, I was naturally gravitated to people teaching online money, how to make money online, how to do all these things, because I knew this was going to happen. And the mistake I see a lot of people make is they see that as a bad thing. They see that as, you know, like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. This doesn't make any sense. I'm supposed to figure this out myself. But you can go down that line. You can, like I said, any beliefs that you have are there to either serve you or not serve you. So you can have those beliefs. It doesn't matter. But if it's serving you, cool. If it's not serving you, then you have to change that, because that's only going to affect whatever you're trying to build in the future. So keep that in mind. And that's something that when I started realizing exactly what I was doing subconsciously, in the sense of like when I was paying a lot of my mentors, when I saw people working with me, it was because they were aligning themselves with the type of person that is going to eventually help them get there. So that's that last part. And that was how I kind of tricked myself to think that I was going to get to that point before it actually happened. So now the final thing that I really wanted to touch on is the reality. So what happens once you actually start taking these actions and you start taking these things? How quickly can you expect everything to start changing for you in your life? So one thing that I want you guys to really understand is this is a mirror of your subconscious. So, and it's a mirror of a bunch of things. So let's say, for example, your goal is, let me say something tangible, like something that obviously takes time to get. Let's say an apartment. Nice apartment like this, high rise, 30th floor, I can see the buildings, I can see all the yachts, I can see everything from this place in London, super nice place. Let's say this was my goal, like I had over here. Vision board of thing I wanted to achieve right there. And I have a cool, not a lot of money in my bank account. Let's say I got like 5 grand, 10 grand. Obviously, when you look at that, you're like, okay, cool, this is way higher achievable than what I want to get. So what tends to happen is you either beat yourself up or you get motivation from it. But the reason why I say it's a mirror of your subconscious is subconsciously the way that you look at whatever you want to achieve physically or mentally is how you're going to actually perceive it. Let me explain. So let's say I look at that picture of the apartment, or you look at a picture of the apartment. What comes to your brain initially? Does it come that you're going to be able to get this? Does it come that this is super hard? Does it come like, damn, this is not achievable? All the things that you get subconsciously is what you think about whatever thing that you're going to have. If you instantly look at something and you're like, this is going to happen no matter what, I'm going to get there and this is going to happen fast, it can happen fast. If you look at it and you tell yourself this is going to be a slow process, it's going to take a lot of time and it's not going to be a lot of effort, that's what's going to end up happening. It's going to be a mirror of what you actually think. Because the mirror principle, which I want you guys, a lot of you guys forget this mirror principle, is Anytime you make a change identity-wise, let's say this is you over here. Let's say you are frowning right now, and then you want to get to the part where you're smiling. So let's say you're smiling in like, I don't know, super nice apartment. This is over here. You have like goggles and shit. There's a time delay before this actually happens. There's a time delay that you don't actually see of like all the things and all the actions, all the subconscious programming that you have for years and years and years changing before you actually get to the thing. If there wasn't that time delay, everyone would just have all the things that they want. Like for example, if let's say your goal is to get like a sick physique, you can't just start obviously thinking like, okay, cool, I'm this type of person and I have the beliefs of someone that has a really good physique, and you start going to the gym and then a week later you're like, why is my physique not there? It's like, of course it's not there. There's a time delay of things that have to happen in terms of like all the programming and all the physical things that you've done to your body that didn't get you there in the first place. So what you start telling yourself when you're going through this period is what's going to dictate how quickly you get to that point in the first place. If you start telling yourself this is going to be hard, it's going to take a lot of time, what's going to happen is you're obviously going to fixate on the time and you're not going to get to where you want to be. But if you don't fixate on the time and you only focus on the process and you're just enjoying the things because you know that you're going to get there eventually, what happens is the time period actually goes so fast, because I'm thinking that to myself, I'm like, damn, this didn't really take long. Like realistically speaking, when I started my agency, this probably was a whole process of like maybe 3 years to get to the point where it's like, I've got all this stuff and I've got the things of taking care of my family, I've done all these things, 3 years. Do you know how long some people take to be able to get to the point where they have like an actual profitable 7-figure company? Very long. Some people will tell you it takes 10 to 15 years. I did it in 2. So you might tell yourself, you can be the judge. Is 2 years a long time? Is 2 years a short time? And you can be the judge. It's up to you. I don't really care. But the truth is, because I subconsciously didn't believe it was going to take that long, and I actually believed I was going to get there, I didn't have any sort of limitations that everyone tries to put you on there. Because I also still had limitations. Don't get that wrong. But I still got there relatively quickly, because I know people that don't even have these limitations at all, and they get there within less than a year of 7 figures a year profit, or even 6 months with no business experience prior to this. The only difference is just what they believe is possible. So it's always going to be a mirror. So I don't want you to think that everything has to change instantly, because you might look at all these things like the nice cars, nice houses, whatever, and you have to have those things now. It takes time, but the time that it takes is solely dependent on how you look at time. If you look at time as this long thing that's not always going to pass by, then it's going to be that long thing. But if you look at time as something that just consistently comes through, and you're going to eventually get there, So that's why I have a lot of people join up with me. Their goal is, like, I had a kid who joined, they were making like 5-10K a month in profit. The next month after that, they did 88K, and the goal was to make 30K working with me. So you can put the math there. Like, it's insane how quickly things can change once you get into the right identity and you don't have any limitations holding you back. So it all comes down to how easy do you want to make it for yourself. If you want to go the hard path, you can do that. If you want to figure out how to sign clients, make the money that you want to make, all that type of stuff, free roam to do that, free roam to do those things, completely fine. If you want to fast track it, and if you want to get to that point where you're making that amount of money relatively quickly, then you obviously, guys, you know what to do. There's going to be the link down below that shows you exactly how I've been able to help people get there. So that's pretty much the entire video, guys. This is exactly how I was able to get to the point where I tricked myself to thinking I was rich before I actually became rich. Hopefully, if you guys use these principles into your life and your business, I know for a fact it's going to accelerate a lot of the things. So appreciate you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.